United States really needs to take leadership.
Climate change is actually impacting us. It is flooding towns already.
I have a heavy message. The best way to get rid of a species is to change the environment out from under it. And that goes for civilization as well. Chronic change is the enemy of life. Now, if you look around the world, the continental centers all are afflicted with drought, including the Australian continent, which you've probably read about, is now fertilizing New Zealand through erosion, aeolian erosion, wind picking up dust and carrying it there. Central Asia is afflicted with years of drought. Central Africa, South America, North America, we have in our southwest a persistent drought affecting Mexico to the point where water supplies in Mexico City are challenged. Our own Central Valley of California is challenged for water at the moment. It gets much of its water from the Sierra Nevada, where the snowpack is much reduced. Well, the biological changes are enormous. The southern frontier of Europe at the moment is flooded with people migrating from Africa, Central Africa, where they can no longer pursue agriculture and have no way of living. That's happening now. When I hear about our politicians saying that, well, we can't afford financially to do anything about this pollution of the earth with products of fossil fuels, I wonder just how many starving people it takes to persuade them that the cost of not doing anything about it is far greater than the cost of doing something about it.
Okay, the next one is a dozen bottles of white wine.
A dozen bottles of white wine.
And by the way, there's 4 more cases out there, and the top 4 winners each get a case. So it's a part of the silent auction, so go out and buy them.
Okay, great. All right, the winner is 604273. 60, right here.
Hey, woo.
Some kind of belief that this war we're fighting can really bring some peace. There's no rhyme, no reason, no sweet melody. More and more weapons mean less security. It's been long, long time coming, but I know a change is coming. And I'm trying to find it, some better place. We're having the biggest gun in some kind of race. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change will come.
For those of us who are committed to protecting our planet and protecting the people on it, this is really a moment of promise and hope. After years and years of very costly inaction, the United States has finally begun to take action on climate change. And finally, in Congress, we have some momentum to make real progress, the sort that we haven't seen in decades. Since taking office in January, President Obama has moved assertively to put climate change at the top of his domestic agenda. And we've made some progress. Public attention has finally focused Congress to congressional action, and on June 28th, by a strong vote, the House of Representatives passed the first ever legislation called the American Clean Energy and Security Act, or ACES, designed to curb climate change and promote investments in a broad range of new clean energy technologies, energy efficiencies, and other measures. Companion legislation is now in the House, is now in the Senate, and we are fighting with every voice we can, the environmental community, the humanitarian community, but also the business community, the labor community, the veteran community, and all others to get this bill through the Senate. Economists have shown how we can create millions of jobs and bolster the U.S. competitiveness worldwide by moving to a clean energy economy. Our intelligence agencies, the Pentagon, have made clear that we must reduce our reliance on imported oil to bring about a safer and more peaceful world. Climate change, in other words, has transcended the transitional boundaries of habitat. It has become an economic issue, a humanitarian issue, a health issue, a national security issue, a moral issue. The impact is international, the threats are inescapable, and the threats are profound.
For those of us who are concerned about sort of global hunger, we will be a planet with 9 billion people by 2050. And we are taking millions of acres of land out of agricultural production each year, and we have a shrinking agricultural frontier, and we have we're dealing with increasingly, we're dealing with water crises around the world, and it's predicted by many people that one of the characteristics of the 21st century will be we will be fighting over water, and water is one of the physical constraints in the global agricultural production system that will enable us to kind of manage the agricultural frontier. If we want to connect the dots here, and we have climate change, and we have a challenge to water supply in many parts of the world, and we have today, for the first time, I think the numbers are that we've got 1.2 billion people, according to the World Food Program, who are chronically hungry. This is the first time the numbers have surpassed 1 billion. We're creating a sort of a system where we're destabilizing populations that are going to be moving, I think, as George suggested earlier, and sort of threatening global stability. And climate migration, climate-induced migration is, I think, one of the great civilizational threats that we need to be focusing on.
Is there anybody out there who's willing to give $1,000 right now, today, to change the world? Great. Thank you.
Just a few honest words. It shouldn't be that hard. Just a few honest words is all I need. I don't need no handshake, no firm look in the eye. Don't tell me what you think I ought to hear. And I don't need no highlights, no fancy premiere. Just tell me what you really think without fear. Just a few honest words. It shouldn't be that hard. Just a few honest words is all